Welcome back to Clash of Culture as we continue our 2023 college football preview. Today, we're going to do something a little bit off the cuff. We're going to talk about our college football playoff dark horses. So you should have seen our video where we talked about our predictions for who's going to make the college football playoff. These are teams that were not necessarily on our list that we think may have a chance. But like always, before we get into that, we want to thank you guys for the love and support you've shown us. So if you've made it this far, please press the like and subscribe button. We are still on our march to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys. If you guys don't know, when we get to 1,000, the intent is to give away another Heisman signed jersey. Also, we are doing a college football pick'em. So if you haven't signed up, again, it's free. It costs you absolutely nothing to join. We're just picking who we think is going to win games every week. The winner at the end of the year will get to choose a jersey of their choosing. So again, free. There is nothing you have to pay for that for an opportunity to win. Just a little trash talking amongst friends. So please join if you haven't already. With that, Steven, what's your thoughts? Who's your dark horses?
So I'm going to go through my dark horses, I guess, on a dark horse scale from like the absolute like most seeable thing to the most not seeable thing.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with my first one. A lot of people are giving this team credit, but not necessarily penciling them for the playoff, and that's the Washington Huskies. Looking at their schedule, obviously they play Boise State, Tulane, and Michigan State out of conference. I probably favor them in all three of those games pretty heavily. So I do think they're going to win all three of their out-of-conference games. And then they're obviously in the Pac-12, which what my dad and I both said is one of the deepest college or conferences in college football this year. You got USC, Utah, Oregon State, and Oregon. I do think they could realistically go undefeated, but I probably predict them to go about 11-1. And then, if they're able to, win the Pac-12 with a 12-1 record, after only dropping one of those games and potentially, avenging that loss in the Pac-12 title game. Obviously, that's a crazy scenario, but you never know what could really happen. They would be my number 4. I have 4 dark horses. That would be my number 4 dark horse if they can kind of get the job done there and do that.
Yeah, so I know you've seen mine. So I wasn't going to do them first, but I also have Washington as a dark horse. When I look at that team, when I look at what they're bringing back on offense and defense, again, we talked about Michael Penix. We talked about them returning 2,000-yard receivers and another guy who went for about 700 yards. So what they're returning, like I said, offense, defense, I expect this to be an explosive team. My only concern really with them is the Pac-12 is so strong that, they're playing good teams. They have quite the schedule that they have, the gauntlet that they have to get through to be able to win. I think USC is a good team. I think Oregon's a good team. I think Utah's a good team. But if they are able to manage that, and let me say, when I say manage that, if they can only lose one of those games and win the Pac-12 championship, it is very possible that the Pac-12 champion with one loss is going to be in the playoffs. If that happens to be Washington, I think they can find their way in. I think they have the team to do it. I think they have the firepower to do it. So, yeah, Washington is my number 1 or my first dark horse.
All right, who is your next one? You can go next.
So my next one, I talked about them a little bit in a couple of videos. So from the ACC, it's Duke. I like Riley Leonard. I like what they're bringing back. And again, I think when you look at the ACC, we're really talking about 2 teams. And I'm not saying those 2 teams aren't tough. Outside of Duke, you're really talking about Florida State and Clemson. If Duke can find a way to win the ACC, if they can find a way to beat Florida State and Clemson and win the ACC championship, this is a team, again, another team that I think has the ability, has the roster. They have some veteran leadership. Like I said, we mentioned Riley Leonard, and you can go watch our Duke video. I think this is a team that has a chance to find their way in the playoff / ACC championship / playoff picture.
Yeah, I think they're going to be pretty good. We're obviously going to find out a lot against them when they play Clemson in week 1. So we'll have to see. I think even if they lose that game, they still have a good chance to, make a push. It's only 1 loss. But my number 3 team might come as a surprise to some of you guys, but I'm very high on them. I was a little bit higher on them than my dad was. We're obviously going to be dropping our final top 25 video here in the next couple of weeks before the season starts. But this is where I have the Fighting Irish. I think Notre Dame. It's kind of a tricky one because some people might think it's crazy for me to call them a dark horse, but I don't see a lot of people having them in the playoffs. I personally didn't have them. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs, but I think they have a chance. They play 3 absolute juggernauts in USC, Ohio State, and Clemson. So I'm going to stand on what I said in previous videos and past conversations with my dad that if this team can somehow, some way go 11-1 with this schedule without a conference championship game, they are getting in the playoffs. I'm letting you guys know right now, if they only lose to Ohio State and they beat USC and Clemson to go 11-1, there is no way on earth the playoff committee is not going to put this team in based on beating teams like NC State, Duke, Louisville, USC, Clemson, and Pitt, Wake Forest. I mean, they have some really good opponents they're playing against, and obviously 3 of them are going to be top 12 like teams heading into the season. So I do think that if they're able to go 11-1, they're going to get in. The reason why I had them listed as a dark horse is because I don't think they're going to go 11-1. I do think they're going to go 10-2, 9-3-ish. I think the other 3 teams are going to give them a run for their money. And I think some of these other games are going to be tough too. The Duke game, the Louisville game, the Pitt game. I think a lot of these other games are going to be hard as well, especially given that Duke and Louisville are both on the road. I do think Notre Dame is better than both of those teams, but it's still going to be hostile environments, still going to be respectable teams that you're going against. So you're going to have to strap up and play. But we'll just have to see. But that's who I have as my number 3.
All right. So
go ahead. You want to go? Number 2. No, you can go number 2.
My number 2, I have the Arkansas Razorbacks. I think KJ Jefferson, Raheem Sanders, probably top 2, 3 in the SEC returning at their position. They both have the ability to take over games. That run attack for Arkansas is going to be tough. I like what they return. Again, they brought in some transfer portal receivers to hopefully booster that receiving core a little bit. This is a team that if they get on a run, and again, with 2, I think, top players in the SEC at 2 of your key offensive positions, if this is a team that can get on a run, again, the SEC champ is going to the playoffs. I don't think we've ever had a season where the SEC champ wasn't in the playoffs. Oh, so the SEC champ is going to the playoffs. They are in the West, where really you're talking about Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU. So they have a tough schedule, but if they are able to manage and navigate that schedule and find themselves on top of the SEC West, they have a heck of a shot. And I think they can give all of those teams I just named, they can give them a run for their money. Those are not going to be easy wins. So if they can find a way to come out on top, you may see Arkansas in the college football playoff.
Alrighty, so Arkansas did not make my list, but I know you already named Duke as one of your playoff dark horses. I have another ACC team.
Okay.
And it's not Louisville.
Oh.
So I have North Carolina on this list.
Okay.
I think North Carolina is not being talked about enough. Obviously, we did our North Carolina video. As much as I wanted to put Louisville on this list, I didn't. But I think North Carolina has a real shot at getting in the playoff this year. And it's for me, it was kind of like Notre Dame. It was hard to label them a dark horse just because of the fact they do have a top 3 quarterback coming back.
Yeah.
They did have a really good season last year up until losing down at the end of the last stretch of the season. They were a top 15 team, really fighting for a playoff spot with Clemson, but then they ended up losing late. But you have South Carolina, which is going to be a big-time matchup. Well, they already announced that's a game day game. I did predict that, guys. So if you guys watched our predicting game day locations, I did predict week 1. So I'm 1 for 1 right now.
Yeah, okay.
They obviously play Appalachian State and Minnesota. So I probably favor them in the first 3 games. That South Carolina game is going to be a hell of a game. So that's going to be a good one. But then when you look at the rest of their schedule, they're probably going to be favored in every single game besides the Clemson game. They may be favored in every game besides the Clemson game, including the South Carolina game. So I think if they can handle business, somehow knock off Clemson away at Death Valley and go 12-0, I think they can get in. And they don't play Florida State this year. So obviously, with the situation scenario that I just played out, being a 12-0 ACC team and beating Clemson, they would play Florida State in the ACC title game. And I think if you
because it would still matter, right? Because even if Clemson loses to, let's say, North Carolina, but beats Florida State, they would own the head-to-head, right? And then they would – so then –
Okay. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Well, I'm just saying in a world where if they were to beat Clemson, I think they could beat Florida State. That's what I was kind of getting at.
I got you.
But so I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that this team can get in the playoffs. Especially with, like I said, their schedule isn't the strongest. The only two top 25 teams you play are South Carolina and Clemson, and South Carolina is like a fringe top 25 team. Duke may be in that conversation. Miami may be in that conversation. But I mean, this schedule really plays into the hands, or plays well for North Carolina and possibly getting a playoff berth, their first playoff berth. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think they're going to go 9-3, 10-2-ish. Again, if you guys watch the North Carolina preview video, I'm still kind of high on North Carolina. I'm a little bit higher than my dad was. I think Drake May's going to have another really good season. I know you said he's going to take a step back. I think he's going to be in the Heisman conversation again. I do think he carries his team. He doesn't have, like I said, a gauntlet to go through. So I fully expect them to be kind of competing for the ACC as well as a possible playoff spot. I'll go my number one first.
Okay. You're very excited to get this out.
This is one hell of a dark horse, guys.
Oh, you're on dark.
But the thing is like, fans of this team are not gonna think it's a dark horse, because I've seen fans of this team say they're gonna go 11-1 or 12-0. I don't think it's gonna happen with how it happened.
Say Nebraska?
Year. No. I don't think it's gonna happen based off of last year. But looking at the schedule and how it kind of ramps up, I definitely think this team can go like 11-1. But that's like best case scenario. They need all the dominoes to fall in their favor. This is where I have Brent Venables and the Oklahoma Sooners, man. I think they have the talent. Obviously, they recruit well. They have the coaching experience with Brent, and they have one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12, maybe top 10 to 15 quarterback in all of college football, and Dylan Gabriel. I think if the pieces fall right, if the cookie crumbles the right way, this team can be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You play three lesser opponents in Arkansas State, SMU, and Tulsa out of conference. Obviously, you play all the above average kind of neck and neck teams in the Big 12 with Texas, Kansas, TCU, Oklahoma State. So you don't really have to play the Texas Techs. You don't have to play. There's another team on this list that they're not playing they don't have to play Kansas State. But I don't know. I think it can happen. It's the reason why I have as the darkest of all of my four is just because we saw what happened last year. Being right around 500. We don't really know how their season's going to go. They're really shaky. But assuming that they kind of patch the holes and everything, there could be a situation where this team gets in. I just think it's a very dark horse type scenario.
All right, my fourth one, and this is going to be a shock. I actually sent Steve on my list, but I changed it up. My fourth dark horse is going to be Colorado. I think no, I'm just joking.
I will walk off this motherfucker.
No, I was just joking. No, my fourth dark horse, and this is going to come as a surprise, but I need you to think about it a little bit with me. My fourth dark horse is Penn State. I think Penn State has all the tools. I think there are two great teams standing in their way. And really what they need is
Colorado.
is to find a way for really them to get one win. And again, we're talking Ohio State, Michigan. If they can beat one and have the other team beat the other, then they would own the head-to-head over the team they beat, and they would possibly get in the playoffs. Now, again, obviously changing quarterbacks, but remember Drew Allor, I think that's how you say his name, was a five-star quarterback that Ohio State was trying to recruit. You're bringing back two great young running backs in Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, two guys that almost went. So Singleton went for over 1,000 yards. Katron went for about almost 900 yards. You're bringing in Dante Cephas from Kent State, went for about 800 yards at Kent State. The weapons are there. The weapons are there. And I think in a lot of other conferences, we would have given them a heck of a shot. In fact, if they were in the Big Ten West, they would have been the favorite to win the Big Ten West. It's just they have two juggernauts over the top of them. And like I said, all they really have to do is win one of those games and hope for a little bit of mess, because if they get into the Big Ten championship with the way the Big Ten is structured right now, I think they're going to be favored over whatever team comes out of the West. And with one loss and a Big Ten championship, Penn State could get into the college football playoff. So it is a dark horse, but this is probably, I would say, one of my more likely scenarios. Now, the tough part is, again, we're talking about two games where I think they're going to be the underdog, but all they need to really do is win one of those and hope for a little bit of luck in a game that does not even that they don't play in, and that's just either Ohio State or Michigan beats the other. So yeah, I can see it happening, and I think Penn State is going to have a heck of a season, be a heck of a team.
I agree. I think they're in the same situation as Notre Dame, kind of. If they're somehow able to do what you said, or even beat both Ohio State, Michigan, that would be crazy. But before we head out, we are going to do the trivia for today. I got the trivia. It's going to be another one of those guess the player based off of what college they went to, or tell me the college that the player went to.
Did anybody get all the coaches?
Yes, they did. But he didn't respond. He didn't respond back when I asked him what
Oh, okay.
What's it called? I wanted to see, or what's it called? What video idea he wanted. He didn't respond back yet. So hopefully he responds back. Okay, let me find one. So we're gonna go. Where did? I'm trying to find a good one, y'all. What school did Trayvon Diggs go to?
Trayvon Diggs went to Alabama.
Okay, that's one of one. We'll do four. What school did Kirk Cousins go to?
Michigan State.
All right, let me find a harder one now. Alrighty. What school did Darius Slay go to?
Ooh. Oh, I don't remember him in college. I'm going to say Ole Miss.
No.
I don't know. I don't remember him in college.
He went to Mississippi State, so you were really close.
Oh, I felt like maybe it was okay. You could have said, "Oh, you were really close," and then
no, because then I would have gave it to you though. All right, let's see. Last one. I'm just scrolling through trying to figure out
okay.
names. All right, let's see. We're gonna go. What school did Amon-Ra St. Brown go to? It's the last one.
He went to USC.
Went to USC. 3 from 4. If you guys stuck around with us this long in the video, as always, thank you guys so much. Be sure to like, comment down below what you think of our dark horses. Give us your 3 to 4 dark horses, as well as subscribe and hit that notification bell. We are now at July 30th. Season's underway in about a month. We're going to be doing live shows in 2 weeks, so make sure you guys stick around with us for those. It's going to be super fun. Giveaway coming at 1,000 subscribers. We are currently sitting at 812, I believe. So the climb is steady, slow, it's growing. We can't wait to get there. We will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.